I'm an M. Night Shyamalan fan in general. I'm not like a super fan that is going to tell you that everything he's ever touched is amazing because that's not true. And anybody who tells you that, you should be deeply concerned because, to my knowledge, no one stands up for The Last Airbender. Those people don't exist. So if you found somebody who thinks every Shyamalan fan film, including The Last Airbender, is good, they're not real. They're a pod person. Anyway, this is my review of Knock at the Cabin, which it's not gonna be a happy one, but it has audio description on Peacock. God, Peacock. The cock has audio description for this film. I'm just so I don't know. I don't know what to say about this movie. This review is going to be just all over the place. I promise you. Um, it's I'm a blind film critic, so audio description is really important to me, and I was glad the film had it. So thank you. I like Shyamalan things. I gotta say, I did stop watching Servant. At a certain point, I was like, this does not need this many seasons. It does not need this many seasons. The first season was so strong, and then like with each successive season, I felt like it kept getting worse. So I stopped watching Servant. But that season one, that season is tight as shit. Like Shyamalan did a great job with that. If you only watch season one of Servant and just walk away, it's one hell of a story. Um, and I do love some of his more recent stuff too, like Split. I thought Split was really good. And I like some of his older stuff. I think a lot of my movie watching is still defined by The Sixth Sense, Signs. So there's some stuff in there. I even enjoyed The Lady in the Water to some extent. There's some stuff in there. I don't think The Happening is necessarily the absolute worst movie he's ever made. It's not great, but I don't hate on it quite as much as some other people. I think it has moments. Um, but to be totally honest, I think I disliked The Village more than I did The Happening because I think The Village was all about the ending, the twist at the end. I didn't really like the movie. I thought the ending was like, oh my god, like great ending, but God, what a movie to get through. This is nothing. I care nothing about this film. This doesn't even feel like a Shyamalan film. This feels like garbage. This is this is hot garbage that doesn't even make sense. It's a terrible title. The film was based on a book called The Cabin at the End of the World, which is way better than Knock at the Cabin, which it's not even a knock at the cabin or not like not knocking at the cabin or knock at the cabin is just like, where did he come up with that? Like, Shyamalan heard The Cabin at the End of the World and was like, no, that sucks. I got a better title. Knock at the Cabin. What does it mean? I don't know, but we're changing the title from something that is actually kind of cool to something that has absolutely no relevance at all in the grand scheme. Um, this is a weird film, and you're probably like, why did this film? Yeah, this film has a budget. This film has some disaster sequences. Believe it or not, you'd be really surprised. Otherwise, this film could have been shot for like $5 million. This film has almost no budget. This film has a very small cast. It's just take literally does exactly what it says it's going to do. That's one of the props. I give mad props to Shyamalan on that. He does not fuck around with time. Literally within seconds, the little girl in the film centers around a gay couple and their adopted daughter who are on vacation up in this cabin, and all of a sudden these four intruders, let's just call them that for at least this part of the review, show up and present them with a difficult choice. And the leader of that group is Dave Bautista, played by Dave Bautista. And I think within like 30 seconds, he meets the little girl in this film, who is fantastic. I didn't memorize her name for this review. I don't know that we'll ever see her again, but she was It was Shyamalan cast a girl who actually acts like a child, instead of trying to make one of those like child that's like wise beyond their years, which are fine when you need them to be, but sometimes you just need a kid that is being a kid, and this kid is really good at just being a kid, and also but doesn't feel like, she never took away from the film. She was everything that she needed to be perfectly in every single sequence. She didn't necessarily add more to the film. She didn't contribute. She didn't steal the film. She's not Dakota Fanning. She's not the next Dakota Fanning. But I have absolutely no problems with this child acting performance. Some child actors, they read dialogue and it's painful. And it's like, this was the best child that you auditioned for this role. And I don't like making fun of child actors. So that's kind of where I'm going to leave that. But I think she delivers the absolute exact performance that she needed to deliver. Like, perfect performance. It's not my favorite performance. I'm not saying she needs awards. I'm just saying this is perfect casting, perfect performance. Dave Bautista, on the other hand, is I know he's really trying as an actor. He's really trying to get in here. I never felt the gravity of anything he was trying to say. I think he's still struggling a little bit with the weight of the dialogue in this. I think he is a little bit miscast. I like Dave Bautista. I liked him in Glass Onion. I liked him in Blade Runner 2049. I liked him in My Spy. I've liked him in pretty much everything but this. And I think he's an actor. He's great as, obviously, in Guardians of the Galaxy. So I'm a big Dave Bautista fan. I think here he just didn't understand I never felt that he understood what he was saying. He was very disconnected from his role. That was my feeling, anyway. And a lot of the conversations that he has. But it starts right off with him meeting the little girl out in the woods, and she's collecting grasshoppers, and he starts talking to her. And then we just kind of go on from there. And then his friends show up, and then they have to knock at the cabin and get in and present them with this question. And I don't want to spoil the film, but the question basically is the plot. So one of them has to die in order so that the world may live. But the four people who showed up are just like messengers. They can't choose, and they can't kill one of the three of them. But one of the two dads or the daughter has to die in order for the world to live, is the situation that they're presenting. They have been chosen on this mission, and you're left with this sort of like, are they crazy? Is this a cult? Like, that's what the film is supposed to present in its conversations, and the film progresses, and anything else more than that would be spoilers, which I will get into because most of my problems with the film lie beyond the spoilers. I'm trying to give you guys a little taste of what I did like, and then a grade, and then you guys can peace out if you don't want to hear any spoilers. The audio description is fine in this film. There are maybe a couple times where I had a little bit of a question as to what just happened, or what was really shown, in terms of just the violence and the cutting away, and I didn't really understand the point of the film. And the audio description, I think, does a decent job of describing to me what was going on. There's one time where the audio description itself makes a really selective choice, and it kind of revealed a little bit to me. They watch TV, but there's at one point, and then it becomes sort of like a conversation topic about the TV being pre-recorded. He believes that what he's seeing on TV is pre-recorded, but I also heard it in the audio description, where that at one point when the TV comes on, because they turn the TV on and off, when it comes on, it says a pre-recording plays. But what they are watching would be effective if it was live. So the fact that it was identified in the audio description as pre-recorded kind of threw me a little bit. I'm going to be honest. I don't know that I would have done that unless I was specifically told to from the film studio. But then again, like I said, all my problems are in spoiler territory. I'm sorry to Shyamalan fans. I don't understand why Shyamalan fans like this. It feels like the least Shyamalan thing he's ever made, and I can immediately pick it apart. I mean, I've seen it once, and I have so many problems with this film. It was falling apart in front of my eyes. Maybe the book is shit. I have no idea. There are people who keep saying that the book is great and that the film changed a lot. I would assume that every shitty change then the film shows up and shows how shitty the changes were. That nothing was for the good. Yeah, I really don't like this film. I'm happy to see Ben Aldridge and Jonathan Groff getting such prominent roles. They're both tremendous actors, and that was a huge plus for me. And they're both fantastic in this. Actually, if I'm being honest, I thought Dave Bautista was probably the weakest actor of the. There are 7 main characters in this film. Of the 7, Dave Bautista is the weakest. Sorry, not sorry. I love Dave Bautista. This is the thing of his that I've liked the least that he's done. But Ben Aldridge, who just came out of spoiler alert, is great, and Jonathan Groff is great in this too. So I don't know. This is a Shyamalan project that I just wish. I mean, I didn't think Old really worked. Perhaps even more so because I was blind. That I understand, but this I don't think has anything to do with my visual abilities or anything like that. I just think this film sucks. So I'm gonna give Knock at the Cabin a D+. Now, if you really want to know why, you can stay, but it's gonna involve spoilers. So bye. Please subscribe. Thank you. Okay, so I would assume people stopped if they left. If you're here, you're okay with spoilers. Problems that I have with the film, other than his acting, I thought about initially. So we have the 4 people, right? They never really answered why Leonard, which is the character played by Dave Bautista, had to be the leader of the 4. Now, I know he's supposed to be the world's weirdest looking, like, elementary school teacher. Sort of like Kindergarten Cop just showed up. I love that he gets cast as an elementary school teacher. This giant dude covered in tattoos is like, I teach your kids. So he's the one that talks to the girl at first. But there are his other people are normal people too. One of them is a nurse, and the other one is, as we find out later on, is a mom. So I would think if there's a little girl playing outside, I would probably send somebody in who's a little less scary, to make first contact. They picked the giant dude to make first contact with a little girl, which to me just is like, I mean, it's cool for Leonard to be the one later on who takes control, but I think to make that first contact, the fact that they didn't think that the girl who was the mom should be making first contact is just beyond me. Yeah, it's very weird. And the fact that that Dave Bautista's cast of this at all in this role is bizarre. I felt the whole thing gets really into the gayness of it all. Like, as an LGBT critic myself, I was like, what are we doing with this? What message? I was trying to pay attention to this message the whole time, because really quickly when they're outside, before the plot of the film even starts, the little girl offers up that she has 2 dads, and he asks her like how she feels about that. And I'm like, are we? And I'm like, I don't know, Jonathan Groff. He wouldn't be in this film if. I would think he'd be. I don't know Ben Aldridge's business, but I know Jonathan Groff's business, and he wouldn't be in this film. Anyway, um, yeah, I just I don't quite follow the whole thing about the gay couple. And they're like, we didn't know they were a same-sex couple. And the problem with that is when you get to the end of the film and you realize that they weren't lying, that it really was the end of the world, then you're like, okay, so what is this thing trying to say? It could have picked any couple, and it picks a gay couple? One of the somebody in the gay couple has to die? It's like, is that... What is this the message that we're putting out, Shyamalan? I mean, I live in Florida, and we keep passing laws that are anti-LGBT, and I don't need a film like this to send a further message that this is, God's will or something like that. And I really wish we had avoided that. And I know that they're trying to make, but I don't feel like they made enough of a point of how random this was, because at the end of the film, Ben Aldridge's character, who is alive, ends up finding the ID of the guy who was giving the fake name, who was the guy who did punch him in the face, which means they were chosen from the very beginning. Everybody, it's all intertwined. There's no way that this guy who happened to punch him like years ago and serve time happened to be one of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse without it meaning something. Even though the film doesn't specify what it means, it's very, very J.K. Rowling. It's very just sort of anti-LGBT, and it's very bizarre to me. I didn't like it. I didn't like that aspect of it at all. It bothered me. And you're asking, do I think a straight couple? And it's like, yeah, straight couples have been in this type of film for years. This has been like the straight couple film for years. I also don't know why it needed to only be 3 people. Could have been more people in the cabin. Could have been a large family in a cabin. It could have been anything. Anything could have been in that cabin. If you're gonna start playing around with the script, play around with the script. Put the right people in that cabin so that it works. But I think it would have been far more interesting to me if for example, if those characters had been, if like one of them was a pastor, he's sitting there with these 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, and they're presenting him with this choice, and he has to analyze from his perspective. That to me is a far more interesting movie than What Will the Gays Do? And there are other aspects. I thought the actress playing for some reason, the only reporter in history. I mean, she has no co-host. She's the only one on the news. She's the only person they could ever turn the channel to. She might be pre-recorded. I don't understand that. They benefit. They can't. How would they pre-record it? That the whole thing is based on the fact that every time they die, they unleash every time one of them is killed, they unleash another plague. They can't pre-record it because they haven't died yet, so it can't be pre-recorded. They can't transfer their images in their brain onto a recording, so it has to be live. So I never understood why something was pre-recorded. I don't understand why he thought it was pre-recorded, why the whole thing was a setup. It's a very elaborate setup to have all that, CGI footage of all this damage and destruction that's happening to these buildings, at least as it's described. He's watching it, and Ben Aldridge's character is like, it's pre-recorded, and it's like, that's not what I would think. But the reporter was so she's competing with Dave Bautista for worst actor in the film. I mean, when you look back at the moment, the historic moment in time when JFK was assassinated, and when that news report broke, and it's just such an iconic moment because he just kind of stops, and you can tell he just kind of forgets he's a reporter. And I kind of remember that happening a lot during 9/11. Like, I lived through 9/11, and I remember the reporters, and it wasn't so much that they were, they didn't think about like, oh, I have to maintain my dignity while I'm reporting on these tremendous tragedies. They were quite emotional about what was happening because they were watching it live. And more recently, I can tell you that I lived in Orlando, which is where the reporter was shot. And I was watching the news, and I was watching the people report about this reporter that had been shot that they knew. And they're having to report about this guy that had just been shot, who they just worked with. And these real life reporters were emoting far more than this bitch was with the entire fucking planet dying. Like, she was just like, and we're turning in again, and down in Nashville, we've got... I was like, is she a robot? Like, yeah, worst actress. Like, just, I don't know what Shyamalan's direction was for her, but it pissed me off. I hated it. I hated it so much. I was like, she has no emotion, and she's the only person. She makes me believe that none of this is real because she, like, nobody is void of that much emotion in life. At the end, the weapons. Why the fuck do they have weapons? Like, what? It never explains why they have those weapons also. Like, I understand why they have some weapons because they have to kill each other. But some girl's walking around with what sounds like sort of like a homemade mace. If you want to try to get 4 people to trust you and to understand you, I don't know, maybe don't show up with a mace. It would be kind of like a starting point for me. If all 4 of them showed up with weapons that they could hide, either guns or knives, and then pull them out when they needed them, would have been way more effective. Because then they would have just looked like 4 regular-ass people, who were there, and they brought along with them shit they had in their apartment. I find it really hard to believe that those people actually happen to have those weapons. That somebody had a sif, like, or that mace tool thing. I just find it really hard to believe that. I don't think that's a thing. So... I don't even know, because they're not allowed to hurt the 3. Like, that's part of their rule. They're not allowed to hurt the 3. So why do they have the weapons? Why did the guy who knows he's going first have a weapon? He's not going to hurt anybody with it. So what is the purpose of his weapon? Like, everything is just... the film is perpetually stupid. It's like perpetually over and over and over. It does not make any sense. The film tells them that it's very clear they cannot commit suicide. Of the 3, they cannot commit suicide, and they have to agree on the death. They have to choose. They have to make the choice. And then they have to kill. Now, I thought this was pretty clear in that the 3 of them had to come to an agreement on who was dying. But when it actually happens, little girl is up in the tree house with headphones on. I don't think she made a choice, so I don't think that really mattered. So it turned out that was bullshit. Really, I don't think, was she a part of it at all? Or was it just like the 2 dads? Like, one of the 2 dads needed to die. Like, was there ever a scenario in which the girl could have died and then the parents could have lived? I know that's like a really controversial thing to say, but was it really all 3 of them? Or was it just the 2 dads? because that's a very conflicting message. Because in that time, only the two dads make the choice. You know, I don't even know that Ben Alder's character makes the choice. He just gives Jonathan Groff's character what he wants in that moment. Jonathan Groff is willing to sacrifice himself in that moment, and he just gives it to him. And I guess that's a choice. I don't know. And then I don't know. The weirdest thing is that Shyamalan, who likes to have his twist endings, still likes to go for it. He still had to have that twist ending, which means he had to show you what happens afterward. Which I don't know that is exactly what needed to happen. Because until this point, we hadn't really seen the effects of this end of the world stuff on the cabin. But then you go outside and you see the planes are crashing, which means that, okay, so the tapes are not real. The tapes are not fake. They're not pre-recorded. Stuff is really happening. There are these weird lightning strikes that are happening all over. And then Ben Aldridge takes his daughter and they drive off, and then they see more of it happening. So it answered the question for you. And that's part of the reason why I go back to, did it need to be a gay couple? Because now I'm bothered by the film. I think if it was going to be a gay couple, then Shyamalan can't have his cake and eat it too. He can't have the ending. He can't have the, yep, this is what God wanted. This was planned. Then fuck you. That's my answer on that one. Yeah, there's so many little problems that I had with this film. It just, yeah. I just didn't, I mean, that's just off the top of my head. It felt like, it reminded me a lot of Knowing, which is another film I don't like. Nicolas Cage's Knowing. Where it just needs to get to this like crazy concept and ending, but it doesn't really know how to get there, or how it should get there, or how it's supposed to get there. I'm really interested in reading the book because I really want to know how much Shyamalan decided to throw that out the window and say, fuck it, I'm M. Night Shyamalan, I know what I'm doing. Because this, to me, tells me Shyamalan had no idea what he was doing and made a terrible film. The fact that this has a 60-some-odd% on Rotten Tomatoes makes me question life. Makes me question movie critics. I don't understand what they see in this. This film was pretty obvious to me. It was making really obvious choices along the way where I was like, that's unnecessary, didn't need that, why is that happening? That's not the best way to do that. Clearly not the best way to do that, you know? Just a lot of different things. And a little couple of not great performances. So that's why at the end of the day, I said Knock at the Cabin is a D+. Like I said, I thought it was really weird, the audio description, that it actually acknowledged that one of the recordings was pre-recorded. It's a news briefing, and we find out later on that the things are actually happening. I don't know how it could be pre-recorded. That wasn't really ever explained. It's just something that he toys with. That Ben Aldridge's character, who's more skeptical. We don't get enough from Jonathan Groff's character before he gets a head injury and starts seeing like a figure, which isn't really ever brought up in the audio description, so I don't know that we ever see the figure. I did have a question also about the violence, because this seems to be a film. They also have these huge weapons, and then they cut away. At least on one of the kills, they cut away. There aren't even that many kills. There's only like 4 of them, and five. There's 5. One of them they cut away, and they were outside during the kill. So I was like, why did you bring these big ass fucking weapons with you if you're not gonna use them? I don't understand. Um, I wanted to love this. I really did. I walked into this with full expectation. Chris Stockman went nuts for this. He was like, "Oh my god, this is the best Shyamalan movie I ever." I just so he's back, and I'm like, I think Chris Stockman has a head injury. Now I do. I believe he needs to seek medical treatment. I've almost always agreed with Chris Stockman on everything. In case you guys don't know who that is, he's probably the most subscribed to film critic on YouTube. He's got over 2 million subscribers. And I like him because I pretty much always agree with his thoughts. This one, I'm just like, I don't know where you are, dude. You're off on an island by yourself. You're on Shyamalan Island where, everything is, you just like it because it says Shyamalan. I don't know. I want to like Shyamalan things, I do, and I think he's made some great things. This is not one of them. Run from this. Anyway, thanks for staying and hearing my actual reasons, many of them, for not liking this. And please subscribe so I can keep talking about films with audio description and weird choices to tell me that things are pre-recorded. I don't. It's Peacock, so I got kicked out of the film pretty quickly. I got directed by M. Night Shyamalan, and then tried to throw me into something else. So, yeah, I have a website, macthemovieguy.com. You can go to the audio description project, adp.acb.org. It'll let you know what is audio description, where you can watch it. You can go to the ADNA.org, that's the ADNA.org, and it'll let you know who's describing your favorite films and television shows. And you can follow me on Instagram or Twitter at macthemovieguy. That's it. I will review something else for you guys. It's hopefully way better than this, and then see you on the other side.